Barely 2 days ago, there was a sizable amount of Kenyans who had never heard of the name of rapper King Kaka. Today, if you're a Kenyan and you have no idea who I'm talking about, then we'll only excuse you if you're back from a long trip in planet Mars. Folks, this rapper, King Kaka Sungura, he has really stirred up the nation called Kenya. And how appropriate the title of his song. Yeah, because the title of his song is Wajinga Nyinyi, You Fools. And it underlines once again the fact that the truth, the real truth, the bitter truth, is often controversial. And yet it shouldn't be. Now, let us start by forgiving this rapper for his very brilliant, ingenious marketing campaign for this new song. Because there have been rumors flying all over the place about policemen surrounding his house, about assassination attempts, etc., etc. All not true. Yeah, but what these rumors did is to stir up even more interest, yeah, more advertising for this song. Yeah, so let us just pretend that that did not happen. Let us forget that for a moment, because there's a deeper, more important message in this Kenyan rapper's latest song. Maybe the message is best illustrated by a tweet by PLO Lumumba. You know, that controversial Kenyan lawyer who is a walking dictionary of the most difficult English words. Yes, that one. Professor PLO Lumumba tweeted the following. He knows why he called himself. He has awoken the conscience of many youths. Revolution is inevitable. I salute you. End of tweet. Carefully underline the words. Revolution is inevitable. Now I need to tell you a story to illustrate what I'm about to say. Years ago, I traveled to a very remote part of Tharaka Nithi County to help bury the dear wife of a friend. We were all very sad and crestfallen. Yeah, she had struggled in hospital for a very long time, and the devotion of her dear husband all this time was extremely touching. But something happened on that trip that made me completely forget about the sadness that had taken me to Tharaka Nithi and to focus on something else. And I believe this is one of the things that triggered me into politics or political commentary. This is one of the major events of my life that triggered me to always fight until my last breath for a better Kenya. While collecting the body at the mortuary, we came across this very poor couple whom we learned had really struggled for days to get the body of their 9-year-old daughter released. Yeah, and incidentally, they were going to bury this daughter also in Tharaka Nithi, not very far from where our destination was. But they had no transport. They had no idea how they were going to transport the body. Yeah, they were doing one thing at a time. Get a coffin, get the body out of the mortuary, and then think, what next? But as you know, our God lives. So we came across, and we had no problem giving them a lift all the way from Nairobi, the Kenyatta Hospital mortuary, up to Tharaka Nithi, deep, remote Tharaka Nithi. And as we traveled, I got to learn of the story of this dear, departed young girl, only 9 years old. She had been the pillar of this young family, who had only one other child, about 4 years old. She worked hard at school. She helped her parents. She was the pillar, real pillar, of that small family. And even as she was lying, dying, very sick, she was still encouraging her family. My apologies. I always get broken and I cry when I remember this story. So she was still there, encouraging her family, assuring them that she was going to heaven, and assuring them that God was with them, that there was nowhere they were going to be defeated. How prophetic her words were, because the parents struggle to get the body out of the mortuary, and then when they've done that and they have a coffin, a very beaten, cheap coffin ready, there's free transport to Tarakanidi. But what really stirred me up was when I found out the real reason why this 9-year-old, with her whole future ahead of her, had to die. She would have lived, no doubt about that. But the reason she died is the rotten, corrupt Kenyan system that does not give a hoot about ordinary Kenyans. They pretend to, but they don't. Now, this funeral party of 3 reached their destination before us. So we had to get out, get the coffin off the roof of the matatu. And as we parted, tears were freely flowing down my cheeks. And I reached into my wallet and took out everything in it and handed it over to this family. And still in my heart, I felt I had done nothing. I asked myself, what kind of country do I live in? Let me just end that story there before I start saying things that I'm going to regret later. I asked myself many questions. Why wasn't I doing anything about what I'd just seen? How many other youngsters had died in our beloved country needlessly? The Kumekucha brand was birthed 2 years after that. But I have no doubt, looking back today, that that was one of the major seeds or triggers of the Kumekucha brand, which is today this YouTube channel. Now, my point is this. Most of those taking in this video today or taking in this show do not know Kenya. They think they do, but they don't. They do not know what the ordinary Kenyan in our country goes through. Trust me, we are all very comfortable. In a country where for millions of our fellow countrymen and women, life is a living hell. And admittedly, some of us have such relatives, And that is why the words of the song by King Kaka, the rapper, have touched and stirred up the nation like no other song has in a long time. The bitterness, the dark mood in the song Wajinga Nyinyi mirrors exactly our position as a country today. The song rings true for tens of millions of Kenyans. And that is why the tweet by PLO Lumumba is very scary, but also rings very true. Revolution is inevitable. Now, all this is super fascinating because just a few days ago, former Sudanese powerman, President al-Bashir, was sentenced by a Khartoum court. He was convicted of corruption charges. Now, apparently he was only given 2 years because of his age. He's 75 years old. But he still has very many other charges to face. And so I guess, after he's gone through all his court appearances, that point about age will become mute. But the real attention grabber here is this man who was once so feared, so powerful, so much in control of a country, but in fact was brought down by a revolution, which I believe is ongoing, which has managed to tame a powerful military. And today Sudan is led by a joint civilian and military government. And of course the civilians have a huge say in the way their country is run. I guess barely a year ago, somebody said revolution is inevitable. And I'm sure many people in Sudan laughed. But hey, look what has happened today. In fact, we're just a few weeks to the anniversary of the beginning of the revolt against powerful President al-Bashir. My point is, you can push cowards to a corner. You can push people to their limits. But woe unto you when those people reach their limits. Whether they're cowards or not, utajua haujui. Just ask al-Bashir. Now, the reaction the country Kenya has had towards the latest song, Wajinga Nyinyi, by King Kaka the rapper, is very telling. It suggests that Kenyans are very close and in fact may have reached their limits. That is why again I remind you about the tweet by PLO Lumumba. Those words are pregnant with meaning. They're ominous and they're scary for those of us who understand the consequences of a revolution. It doesn't matter what the objective of that revolution is to start with. And the really dangerous thing here is a vast majority of our population are the youth. They're young people. These people have nothing to lose. And they have no time to start figuring out the consequences of a revolution. They have no time to hesitate before they act, to hesitate to think, to stop to think before they act. They don't. If you still have no idea why, listen to the song Wajinga Nyinyi. Or even better, get hold of the lyrics, and just read through. My dear friends, that is the huge danger that hangs over our nation. And I'm sorry for busting the bubble of all those of you who strongly and firmly believe in a revolution and are just wishing that it happens yesterday. But I'm sorry, I don't believe in revolutions. Study revolutions. Start with the French Revolution, and then you'll understand my position perfectly. Admittedly, the revolution in Sudan was different, but there were still casualties. And in any case, it is still playing out. And I'm sure that those people in Sudan who are doing everything they can to crash this revolution and seize power. But I take off my hat, to King Kaka Sungura. Actually, his real name is Kennedy Ombima. Thanks so much, Bwana Ombima. You've booked yourself a place in the history of the country called Kenya. I am not sure what will happen next, but what I know is that history will definitely remember this song as one of the triggers, of what is going to unfold in our country next, even if it's going to happen a decade from today. A book or a commentary can be very dangerous to a corrupt regime. However, a song can be deadly, to a corrupt regime. The last time a song caused problems or stirred up the nation was in 1975. The late popular Kikuyu singer, Joseph Kamaru, whom I loved very much. His music is just something else. And that is why I've done several videos on this great Kenyan on this channel. Anyway, Joseph Kamaru released a song on the assassination of J.M. Kariuki, a very great Kenyan, a politician, a man who died because he wanted a better Kenya. And that particular song was promptly banned by the Jomo Kenyatta government. In fact, if you want to know how seriously the Jomo Kenyatta regime took that small song by Joseph Kamaru, then sample the following. Shortly after the song was banned, President Jomo Kenyatta, who was rarely seen in public, emerged from State House, and walked the length of what is today Moi Avenue, flanked by an entourage of military chiefs, etc., etc. And the government even scrambled Kenya Air Force jets to fly overhead, and for Jomo Kenyatta to salute to them. All this, to show those who would be thinking or even imagining of a kind of revolution against Jomo Kenyatta to think again, and to tell the people that he was fully in command. Na alikuwa hataki ujinga. But here comes the Joseph Kamaru of our times, King Kaka Sungura, a Kenyan who is ready to risk his life for a better Kenya. You know, Bwana Kennedy Ombima is married. Yeah, he's only 32 years old. Born just the other day in 1987. But he's married with 2 children. And I'm guessing he looked at his 2 little angels and asked himself the simple question: what kind of Kenya am I going to leave behind for these precious little children of mine? And something just snapped in his head. I'm guessing that is what happened. Because this rapper, in 2017, alikuwa mjinga pia. Because he was heavily involved in the campaigns of Jubilee and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Rumor has it that he was being paid 500,000 Kenya shillings per day for his efforts. But at least he has sat up and he has looked around and he has smelled the coffee. In my view, he is much better than the vast majority of Kenyans who look at their precious children and say to themselves something like, watajisort. Now, somebody with that kind of thinking, in my humble view, does not even deserve to be called a parent. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.